Look at this. A delivery from Chassis Engineering, huh? With a bunch of Heights boxes in it. Well, let's just find out what we got. Chassis Engineering. I can't say enough about how nice their product is. It delivered on time, got our Heights front end, got our Chassis Engineering rear leaf spring kit. It all went together perfectly. The dimensioning, the rivets, everything that they said and you needed to use to dimension everything and to install everything was perfect. They really did their homework. This is really nice stuff, I have to tell. The only thing I don't is their spec for the torquing. I looked it up, and on a 5/16 bolt is 25 pounds, but if it's plated, it's 18 pounds. Their stuff looks like zinc coated, but it's, to me, that's not plating. Plating is like a hot dipped galvanizing. That's plating. But my torque wrench only went down to 30, so everything here got 30. And I double checked and triple checked, and I found a couple of them that were actually finger tight, and I went, whoops. So I got that corrected. I painted everything before I installed it. I used mineral sprites instead of acetone. I used to use acetone, but the acetone evaporates too quick. You can't work with it. This right here works really good. You wipe it all on and it gets all the grease and grime from sanding and grinding and wire brushing and all that stuff, and it gets it all off, and then you go through and re-wipe it down again to get any residue that the mineral sprites may have held up. The install video for the rear end, here you go. They want a straight edge across here with 3/8 shimmed down from the frame, 23 3/4, 41 5/16. And it goes to, it says the rivet right there. Well, the rivet can't be these ones. If it's this one, it's off center, because it's not center like the picture is showing. This one is off center. I got the straight edge, framing square. This is the established center line of the axle. Just make sure. 41 5/16 and 23 3/4. We're 41 5/16. And we're going to put 23 3/4 on 41 5/16, and the overall would be 65 1/16. So 65 1/16, hooking the square on the rear axle center to the rivet. Aha! It is. It is that bolt right there, not the center, that bolt. And we're going to put this piece in. Everything, we're going to dry fit everything and see how this thing goes together. This dimension is the center of this hole, and that is a perfect fit because the two rivets that are in there on the frame, you got to drill out for those two holes right here. So this has to be square because this is flush with the outside, and that gap needs to go away, so I need to bend the inside of the edge up. To get those holes in on the outside of the frame, they want you to drill a hole just so you can get a socket in there. So you'll have a couple of holes in there, and then it'll tighten up on the outside of the frame. Now what they want is this thing to be 90 degrees. Well, it's got a gap right here. Yeah, you want to take the rivets out because the two pieces of metal are going to want to move a little bit. Edge of the frame is bent down so it's square. 23 3/4 of an inch from center of axle, which we have. 41 5/16 from that rivet hole, which is now a bolt. And it's perfect. For this thing to go on the rear, you need to take off the corner one. Same thing on that side. Here, all line up with that hole and this rivet, and this lines up with the square hole. There's a problem with the frame. It bows out a little bit, and I think that this here was the bumper bracket, and it must have got, 82 years old. It's probably hit a few things. Yeah, that's doable. We'll get that to work. Well, you can't have enough clamps. This rivet right here, I overlooked on the other side, thank God. Well, what happens is once you get this in and you put the bolts in, this mounts on here, and you're going to line it up. Once this is all tight and square, you're going to mount this up. Well, that hole doesn't line up with the rivet hole. It's going to be probably over around here somewhere, so thank God I didn't drill it out. I just ground it smooth, and then this thing's going to go on there. Clamp this thing down, drill your new hole, and these two holes into this thing. And it's pretty easy. This whole thing actually is pretty easy. And when doing this, don't forget to check your dimensions. Double check it. I'm going to put the bar on here with the square and get my dimensions to the front rivet, to the center line of the axle, the whole thing. I'm going to double check it, but I've already taped it off where these two bolts here were actually identical to the other side, believe it or not, because they said a 1939 and 40 frames were not all that accurate. Everything before it and I think after it were a lot better than these two frames. I mean, you can get two of these trucks of this same year and everything, and the rivets won't be exactly in the same spot. So I got lucky. The dimension from the side or outside or whatever with this side, and also I want to double check that this to this side is the same dimension so that the springs are parallel. So we're going to find out here real soon. So clamping this together, you want to make sure that that is tight to the frame. Stuck my tape on it and found a little something I'm kind of concerned about. Outside to outside is the outside of the leaf spring 43.5 inches. Well, the back outside of leaf spring to outside of leaf spring is 46.5, 3 inches. So 1.5 inches each way, and I'm taping everything off, and I'm going like, uh-oh, did they send me a wrong part? Did I do something wrong? You know, everything starts going through your head. Well, I go to, everything tapes out perfect. It's square, everything's perfect. Well, I stick a straight edge over here on this thing, and found out that this is actually, it's at a little bit of an angle this way. So like it lines up with this leaf spring, with this hanger. So I'm thinking it's all by design. They probably tried to keep this centered over the bracket where it's bolted to it. That's the only thing I can think of. Anyhow, I'm gonna put the leaf springs on and see if this thing even goes together. Double strap goes to the front. There's a little bit of bind. Not much. Very little. There you go. Rear end. Rear suspension. Damn. Chassis engineering. Pretty damn easy. I'm going to take the leaf springs and take it off because the next is the front suspension. Can't wait. Actually, I put a straight edge across the top of that one and the top of this hanger, and it's like perfect. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, this is bitchin'. This is totally bitchin'. Can't believe it. Well, front end is next in that box.